Today in Taking Over Tottenham, we have done most of the January transfer window, find out what business we have done. We have a Premier League game against Southampton, and we will also do deadline day, and as well as that, we have played our EFL Cup semi-final against West Ham. Do we have a cup final coming up tomorrow? Find out shortly after the intro.
No, we lost our purpose, chasing all that surplus. You were all that I need. I feel that we can break free. We can still go back there to a place with no cares. We can turn this ship around. We can turn this ship around all the way back home. Chasing all that.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Taking Over Tottenham here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and if you are looking forward to episode number 8 today, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and do enjoy what you see here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But it has been a busy January that we have had since the end of yesterday's episode, the North London derby against Arsenal, which if you missed, I'll leave a link to above my head in the top right corner. But first off in this episode, we are going to go through both the highlights and the transfers so far as they have happened, because we are up to the 22nd of January and this is our last game of the month. Some games that were scheduled off the back of this have been postponed due to an upcoming international break. So we're going to run you guys through the highlights and transfers as they happened in chronological order to start things off. First up, right at the end of December, we had our last Premier League game before we got into this transfer window. It was away at Leeds. It was a very scrappy game. This one couldn't quite perform as well as we did in the North London derby, but we still got the job done. Harry Kane to Winks, Brian Gill in a lot of space here down the left. Fizzes a ball in there. It is blocked but falls back to Harry Winks, who gets us another pretty clutch goal. He's got a few of those for us so far this season and gives us a pretty scrappy 1-0 win. Stats-wise, looking at the shots on target, we probably deserved it. Not our best performance, but still got the job done. Another 3 points in the Premier League. And off the back of that, to start the month of January, it was a rematch with the team that we beat in the EFL Cup quarter-final, Manchester City. This time we had our full-strength first 11 out there, and it showed. Manchester City just don't seem to be able to cope with what we're doing with this vertical tiki-taka tactic. In the 3rd minute, Son to Højbjerg, nice ball there for Lucas Moura, puts that in the top right corner. We went 1-0 up early, and right before halftime made it 2-0. Son making his way down the left-hand side, fizzes a ball in for Harry Kane. Good header, and it was 2-0 Tottenham at halftime. Shortly after halftime, only 10 minutes into the second half, we made it free. Emerson Royale up to Lucas Moura. Another nice ball in there for Harry Kane. He gets a double to make it 3-0, and then with 5 minutes to go, Lo Celso puts the ball into the mixer, and Joe Rodon with a really nice header into the top corner, and we pretty comprehensively beat Manchester City yet again 4-0. Very comprehensive win. The only downer, Harry Kane missed a penalty early in the second half, which would have given him a chance at a hat-trick, which he should have really got, but very good performance from us there. Greens all over the board. Manchester City yet again couldn't hang with us. Then it was the biggest game in the month of January for us, one of 2 of them anyway, and that was the first leg of the EFL Cup semi-final against West Ham. This was our home leg, and this went extremely well for us. At the 5-minute mark, a throw-in inside the final third, Son to Lo Celso, who rockets one past the goalkeeper at the near post. I think that was Areola in this game for West Ham to make it 1-0, and only 2 minutes later, Romero with a header to make it 2-0. Not long off the back of that, Declan Rice got red carded for a 2-foot tackle, and then Lo Celso picked up a double 3-0 at the 25-minute mark, and it just felt like it was going to be our day from there. Just shy of halftime, Emerson Royale, bit of a block cross, but then Lucas Moura to Harry Kane, 4-0 right before halftime, in an exceedingly strong position already. And after halftime, we kept the hammer down. A header there from Højbjerg, which was saved from Areola, but the resulting ball from Moura, this time he puts it in the back of the net. It was 5-0 after 50 minutes. Then they gave away a penalty in the 83rd minute, which Lo Celso tucked away for his hat-trick. That was 6-0. At the 86th-minute mark, we made it a rugby score, 7-0. Lodi up for Belotti. He gets a goal off the bench. Unfortunately, we did concede one shortly off the back of this, but we pretty much, at this stage, had already sewn up not just the game on the day, but also the tie. It was a good header there from Asmund, a little bit sloppy at the back, but we beat West Ham 7-1 in the first leg of our EFL Cup semi-final. A great result, as that meant I felt pretty comfortable putting out a rotated team for the next couple of games in both the FA Cup and the second leg of this tie. The only downer in this game, Lucas Moura going off fairly early in the second half with an injury. But off the back of this game, we did do our first bit of transfer business for the window, and that was the sale of Jafat Tanganga to who else but Moneybags Newcastle. They put in a bid of 19 million for this guy, who we had valued around about the 10 to 12 million mark, and it just felt like too good a deal to turn down. You can see he's a fairly solid player as Jafet, but only as that freestar potential. When he was at our club, he was getting used very rarely. He was homegrown in nation, but a player who we weren't using much. It felt like it was a deal that we could do. Selling him to Newcastle for 19.25 million. As you can see, only 3 games for us so far this year. Decent enough, but for 19 million, I thought that was too good a deal to turn down. So Jafat Tanganga is now a Newcastle United player. And off the back of that, it was time for the rotation team to play one of 2 games in a row. This one in the FA Cup, our first game in this competition, and it was against Peterborough. And unfortunately, even though this was a home game for us, we got off to a pretty terrible start here in the 5th minute. Marriott out there for Tomlinson, ball over the top there for Smodix. Sorry if I get that name wrong. He beats Galini at his near post, and they go 1-0 up very early on here to Peterborough. But luckily, 10 minutes later, we got our act into gear. Belotti inside the box for Sessignon. His shot saved there by Pim, but Brian Gill slots that away on the rebound to make it 1-1. That was the halftime score. Took us a fair while to wear down Peterborough, but we eventually did. A poor header back there from Tomlinson to Belotti. A simple finish for him to put us back in front 2-1. And then with 5 minutes to go, we got a penalty which Dali Ali put away. Not a very convincing performance from us at all in terms of the scoreline, but you look at the stats, we played pretty well, only got the 3 goals, had to come from behind, got the job done in a pretty tricky tie there against Peterborough to make our way through to the next round of the FA Cup. And off the back of that, the rotation team backed up in the second leg of that EFL Cup semi-final. As you can see, it was a 0-0 draw, which to be fair is exactly what we wanted. Gave our first team a good freshen up. It was a game that we were dominated in, but West Ham couldn't finish their chances. Neither could we with the limited ones that we had, and we make our way through to the EFL Cup final 7-1 on aggregate. And the team that we will be meeting in the final of the Carabao Cup is none other than our North London derby rivals in Arsenal. That's what's coming up for you guys in tomorrow's episode. The first chance of silverware in this save, a rematch of yesterday's North London derby, and we should go into that game with a fair bit of confidence as well. But we did do some transfer business off the back of that game. Lucas Moura, who was injured, was under a very big bid from Newcastle. They wanted him for about 35 million. He was valued somewhere between that and 40 million. So we told Newcastle, you guys give us around 60 million for him. You can have him. And they did. They gave us 57 million up front for Lucas Moura. It's going to rise to 63 million with installments. And again, it looked like a deal that was too good to turn down. I know this is going to be a bit of a controversial one, considering he is one of the proper first team players at Tottenham, but the money was just too good. Newcastle splashing the cash yet again, and we sold Lucas Moura to Newcastle. They're starting to pick up a good contingent of ex-Tottenham players for 57 million. It will rise though to 63 million with those installments coming over the next few years. Was pretty good for us so far this season with a 7.07 rating, but we have got a player in who is an upgrade on Lucas Moura, star rating wise anyway, and that is Jesus Corona. We went over this guy at the end of yesterday's episode. He was coming up on an end of contract. We already, at the stage that we sold Lucas Moura, had a deal in place that he would be joining us at the start of next season. So with that deal going through for Moura, all we had to do was tell Porto that we wanted to buy him now for the price of 8.75 million. So we've made a massive profit on that deal. Star rating wise, a better player. His finishing, not very good, but his other stats are really good for the inverted winger role. He's going to be our starting right winger with the departure of Lucas Moura, and he's only on 60k a week as well in a squad player role. He's going to get more than that now that Moura has left. So Jesus Corona has joined us for a very low price from Porto, allowing us to make a good chunk of money on that Lucas Moura deal. And off the back of that, we had 2 more games against West Ham back-to-back in the Premier League, a team we got very familiar with in January. This was our home Premier League game, and much like in the EFL Cup, we did the business against them here. Poor ball forward there from Rodon, but we get the ball back, and Steven Bergwijn is played through, and he puts that away nicely to put us 1-0 up. About halfway through the first half, and only a few minutes later, we doubled the score. Diop with a header away. Bergwijn makes his way into the box, back for Son, who just unleashes one into the top right corner there, put us 2-0 up. That was the halftime score, and then with about 15 minutes to go, Højbjerg with a really well taken free kick, and we beat West Ham at home in the Premier League pretty comfortably. As you can tell by the stats, a really dominant performance to pick up the win there, 3-0, and off the back of that, in the away leg, not quite the same. It was in fact an identical result to the second leg of the EFL Cup semi-final, a game in which we picked up a lot of yellow cards, but we got a 0-0 draw, which, considering the amount of football that we've had in January away from home, not a terrible result. West Ham dominating the stats in that game. Yet again, we kept the ball more, but not a terrible result there in the away game against West Ham. So what that means for the Premier League is we do find ourselves now inside the top four, and pretty comfortably as well. Now we've only got one game in hand over Arsenal, and we hold a 5-point lead on them. So in a very good position going into the second half of this season. If we can win our game in hand on Arsenal, we'll have a nice little gap over them and start to close the gap on Manchester City, who arguably you could say we are better than at the moment based on the results that we've got against them over the last few months. So in a really good position, fourth in the Premier League, cup final tomorrow, and we've made our way through to the knockouts and top spot of the Conference League as well. So everything going very well here at Tottenham. And off the back of that most recent game against West Ham, we did make one more signing, and that was a backup right back, and a Brazilian called Caligari. Look at him, he is a very well-rounded right back. This guy, only 19 years old, has good potential. We got him pretty cheap for 12.5 million from Fluminense in Brazil, and he looks like a really promising guy. 19 years old. Matt Doherty is the backup right back. It's been a little bit iffy for us so far this season. Emerson Royale is starting right back, doing a decent job for us. This guy looks like a guy who could grow into a starting right back for us over the next couple of years. A good young talent, doesn't need to be registered, already valued quite highly. So he has come into the squad, and he is in line to get his first start in this upcoming game against Southampton. So that wraps up the highlights and the transfers that we have done going into this last game of January against Southampton, and also deadline day, which will bring you guys today as well. If we have a quick look at our transfer budget going into deadline day, it is 30.28 million. So we've still got a lot of that Lucas Moura money available to spend. We'll cover off exactly how we're considering spending that once we get through the Southampton game in the league. But there's a few areas where I think we could just use another extra body going into the second half of the season, considering that we do still have Conference League football, the FA Cup, and the Premier League to deal with. But unfortunately, we do have a few injuries to consider going into the game in today's episode. Renan Lodi has recently recovered from a bruised ankle, but is only on a yellow heart, so is not going to be available for this upcoming game. And both of our right backs are also injured at the moment. Emerson Royale can do a job for us off the bench if we need him to, but that is why Caligari is going to be starting for his Tottenham debut in the Southampton game. He has got a pulled back muscle, has Emerson Royale, so can't quite start. Nearly recovered, not quite good enough though. And Matt Doherty and Heung-min Son have picked up injuries. I say injuries, Doherty's is a virus. Son's got a damaged heel, but they are both pretty close to coming back. Will be available after we get through this next international break off the back of today's episode. So we're going to be doing a little bit of rotation for this Southampton game today, just due to the injuries and the heavy workload that we have had of late. But this is a game that we should be pretty capable of winning, even away from home. 13th versus 4th in the Premier League. A chance to see how some of our new signings get on as well. So we'll come back shortly from St. Mary's to run you guys through the team sheets for this Premier League clash. And here are the team sheets for this game. Southampton on the left, looking fairly similar to how they line up in real life from what I can tell. No overly notable additions to their squad there by the looks of it. In terms of us, as I said, we've had to make a bit of rotation due to injury and also to rest. We've got Caligari on debut at right back, Ben Davies in there for the tired Renan Lodi. In terms of the midfield, Winks is in there for Lo Celso, who is starting to become the starting Masala for us at the moment. He's a little bit tired, so Harry Winks comes in. And also we've got Corona on the right wing with that sale of Lucas Moura. He is our starting winger now. And also Ryan Sessegnon starting on the left with that injury to Son, and Brian Gill just being a little bit tired thanks to the games he's had to play since Son got injured. Sessegnon will get a chance out on the left wing. Should be a team that's good enough to beat the Southampton outfit though. So let's see if we can get the job done at St Mary's. And we get a highlight immediately from the kickoff in this game, which is something different. Don't usually get these on key highlights. We're in the dark blue today. Southampton, of course, in the red and black at home. And we play that back to Lloris and look to build from the back here. He is still not signing a contract for a reduced wage. Stud Rene have came in from a few times as Harry Kane gets played through there and unleashes that into the top right corner. And after half a minute, we go 1-0 up at St Mary's, and this could be a good day at the office for us here. That's a wonderful start. Romero up to Winks. He plays the ball forward to Højbjerg. Nice pass to pick up Kane. He puts it away. As I was saying, Stud Rene trying to sign Lloris on a pre-contract. He does not want to join them, so we'll see what happens in that situation. Still got a bit of a Lloris situation going on. Not signed for next season yet, but hasn't decided to leave either, as Sessegnon loses the ball there to Walker-Peters, and now Southampton look to get us immediately after we go 1-0 up early in the second minute here, and they do knock the ball about the back here. Do the Saints. Romeu over to Walker-Peters, plays a ball forward up here for Tuller down the right-hand side, just inside the byline, puts a ball in. It's a header from Adam Armstrong, and it's a quick fire goal from both teams, and after only 2 minutes, it's 1-1. We may as well just stayed in the sheds for the first 3 minutes there, because it is all square. The commentator is saying we couldn't have got off to a worse start. Must have missed the first half a minute when we got a goal, but nonetheless, not a good start defensively. Tuller just able to get the ball off there to Armstrong, and no one's picking him up there. That's a bit poor from our centre-backs today, Rodon and Romero. And after 3 minutes, it's all square at 1-1. 25 minutes gone here. We have a throw-in, albeit inside our own half. A pretty even game this is, since Southampton got the leveller. Tuller there getting the ball off Davies, I believe that was. Puts the ball in for Armstrong. His shot blocked. Good slide tackle from Højbjerg. Walker-Peters with a blocked shot. And now it is Corona trying to set something up on the attack. Nice ball to play. Kane through. Chips the goalkeeper, and on the counter-attack, Harry Kane gets a double. Corona, I believe, his first assist since joining us at Tottenham, and we go 2-1 up. A really good counter-attacking goal there, because that looked quite dangerous after Davies lost the ball. A good block shot. Falls quite nicely to Corona, and a really nice ball there. Harry Kane in behind the defence. Really nice chip finish from him. And halfway through the first half, it's Tottenham 2, Southampton 1. 42 minutes gone now. Southampton were on the attack again, but we do head that away. They look to get something going for. Good header away there from Caligari. Livramento with a ball. It's a really good foot in there, though, from Harry Winks. What can he do? Sessegnon, Harry Kane in behind, looking for his hat-trick. He will get it. Surely he's onside. VAR are going to check this, but I think it looked pretty good, and Harry Kane might have a first-half hat-trick here at St Mary's, and indeed the goal is awarded. Harry Kane with a hat-trick before half-time. Really nice passes from Sessegnon. Thought he might just try and take it on himself. Saw the run of Kane. Good finish yet again from Big Harry. And we go 3-1 up just shy of half-time. And that is half-time in this game. Harry Kane with first half hat-trick is proving the difference in this game. You look at the stats though, Southampton are giving us plenty to think about, employing a very similar system to what Liverpool do in terms of the gegenpress, and that does seem to work fairly well against us. We've just been a bit more clinical with our shots than they have, but pretty happy with how this is going. 3-1 up as we start the second half. 48 minutes gone here, and we have our first highlight of the second half. It's a goal kick there to Southampton, and Ward-Prowse controls it for them. Tuller back to Armstrong, tries to unleash one just over the bar. Thought he might have been offside. Good effort, and it remains 3-1 as that free kick they are offside from. And up to the 57-minute mark here, we're going to make some substitutions. Some players on red hearts. Rodon can come off for Sanchez, and also we will bring Bergwijn on for Jesus Corona. 2 subs used, 3-1 Tottenham with just over a half hour to go. And it is a free kick here to Southampton shortly off the back of those substitutions. They take it short and knock it amongst the back, start to get things going now. Down the left-hand side, Stevens out to Livramento, who is quite a promising left back. Keeping an eye on him. Caligari back for Lloris, an absolute howler of a clearance, and it falls to Nathan Tuller and Hugo Lloris with another moment of madness, unfortunately, and it costs us a goal and Southampton are right back in this. It was some simple play, well covered from Caligari. Bit of an iffy back pass, not too sure if he had to make it. In fact, it's been hit from Lloris straight into Sanchez, but not a good clearance nonetheless. And Teller with a simple tap in, and it is 3-2 Tottenham with a half hour to go. And we are going to make our last substitution here with Højbjerg on a red heart, Dele Alli to come on for him. But after looking pretty comfortable since Harry Kane got his hat-trick, it is game on again, 3-2 with a half hour to go. 82 minutes gone here, still 3-2, nothing happening since that howler from Lloris, partly Sanchez, I suppose, but we start to get something going on the attack here. Dele Alli played in, puts it wide, great chance with 8 minutes to go, but the scoreline still remains 3-2, albeit we are going to get shown the goal kick straight off the back of that. Forster pumps it deep. Ben Davies wins the header. Sessegnon having a good game as a left winger, so that is nice to see. Now the ball to Ndombele, and we look to play out from the back. Sessegnon on the ball again and just knocking it about quite nicely short. The good vertical tiki-taka sort of stuff. Ben Davies up for Sessegnon. What can he do? Harry Winks with a good run there. Starts to make his way down the left-hand side. Back for Davies. Just knocking the ball about nicely. Starting to progress our way for Davies. Sessegnon, what will he do here? Tries to put a ball in for Dele Alli. Now he gets inside the box. Back for Davies. Looking to put a ball into the mixer potentially. Back for Dele Alli. In towards Bergwijn. Far post. Gets his head to it. And off the bench, Steven Bergwijn will surely secure this result for us here at St. Mary's. It's been a pretty hard-fought game. We nearly gave them away back into it through that Lloris howler with about half an hour to go, but good build-up work. Dele Alli off the bench gets an assist, sets up another bench player, and Steven Bergwijn with the point-blank header, and it is 4-2 Tottenham with only 5 minutes to go, and surely that's going to wrap things up as we start to enter injury time, and we will pick up another 3 points in the Premier League, and we'll keep our 5-point gap over Arsenal and Leeds United, keep ourselves firmly in the top 4, and that is largely thanks to the first half hat-trick from Harry Kane. Everyone who started the game played well. Most players who came on off the bench played well. The only player who got a bit of an iffy rating was Sanchez. Even Hugo Lloris getting a 7.0 rating despite giving away that second goal. But pretty good day at the office. Southampton gave us a pretty tough game stats-wise. They should have had a lot more goals than they got, but we escape with a 4-2 win at St. Mary's. And indeed, we do keep our 5-point gap over Arsenal, still with a game in hand on them. Leeds United, in fact, have slipped down below Arsenal a little bit more since we started today's episode, 4 points behind them. So starting to create some gaps there in behind the top 3 teams in the league. And as I said, still have that game in hand on the teams either side of us. So that does it for the gameplay part of today's episode. Still 4th on the Premier League table, and we will come back shortly and do deadline day. And we are back on deadline day and about to get stuck into things. There is the inbox item. Apparently, Heung-min Son is wanted by Liverpool. They are going to be dreaming if they think they're getting him off us. There is no chance in heck. Arturo Martinez is available for a pretty decent price. Apparently, Manchester City after him. I wouldn't mind going after him myself, but we don't quite have the money still. We've got about 30 million left to spend. And in terms of how I am looking to deal with this, as we will say that we will take part in deadline day, and there goes the big yellow, and we start to see those rumours on this screen, and we make our way down too. You can also see that apparently Lo Celso is wanted by Bayern Munich for 40 million. That might be a bit tougher to turn down. We might have to keep an eye out there for potential Mazalas, as he is not a homegrown player. We probably need to keep someone like Harry Winks because he is homegrown and quite useful, but Lo Celso for 40 million to Bayern would be interesting if they came in for a bid like that. But we'll just make our way down, see if any more of our players are on this list, and it's not looking like they are. But we will go back to the transfer centre and go to our shortlist, in fact, because there are a few players that I am interested in just to bolster our squad depth. So there's a few here I have been asking agents just to see price-wise what we can do for the positions that I would like to strengthen. At the moment, we're pretty good across the board. I think we could just use a little bit more squad depth in a few positions. I think we could use another left back, because while it's been useful having Ryan Sessegnon being able to play both there and on the left wing a bit further forward, I think he's definitely stronger as a left winger, and I think we could use a third left back deal for when the likes of Lodi and Davies do get injured. And the player who came up as the most sensible option, both price and wage-wise, was actually Serginho Dest. Now, I think this would be a superb signing. He's quite useful for a number of reasons. One, he's a very good player, under 21, so fills that criteria that the board want from us because they weren't very happy with us after the first transfer window for not going after players like this. And also, apparently he's going to get us a bit more revenue in marketing, largely because of the fact that he is American. His transfer rating isn't very good on here, rated as a D in this, but if we go back to the general screen, it was a C+. I think he looks a really good signing as sort of a backup left back to the likes of Renan Lodi, and we can sort of start to potentially phase Ben Davies out of the club, even though he has been quite good for us. And the other area I am looking to strengthen is a third choice right winger. At the moment, we've got Corona and Bergwijn. Obviously, next season, the signing of Corona would have meant that ideally we would have had Mora, Corona, and Bergwijn, but with Mora leaving for Newcastle for silly money, I think we could use a young, promising right winger to help bolster our depth in that area. There were two options, and I think the option I like most is young Manchester City winger Cole Palmer. One of the reasons I like this guy, he's homegrown in nation, 19 years old, doesn't need to be registered, but it does help us with that down the road. Doesn't want too big a wage. His 11.5 to 18 million price tag. Apparently we don't like the look of that, but I don't think it's that bad for a young talent who, to be fair, doesn't have many cons and has a lot of pros. And compared to the other player who we were looking at in this position, if we go back to our normal shortlist, and that player is Hal Mario from Portugal at Porto. When I compared stats, Palmer actually looks better and he's younger. So I think we're going to go after Cole Palmer, even though this guy is apparently a better signing according to our scout ratings. I think Palmer's a better signing. Ideally, we'd go after someone like Harvey Elliott, but not enough money. I want to get two players in to try and bolster our squad depth. So I'll put some bids in on those players and we'll see what happens over deadline day. Okay, I've put an offer in for Serginho Dest. It's a little bit more expensive than I would have liked, but there's a few add-ons there, keeps it to about 17.5 million up front. So not a terrible deal there, but just about to do the Cole Palmer offer. And unfortunately, he's already played for two clubs this season, so wouldn't be able to play for us until the start of next season. So with that in mind, I think we might pass up on Cole Palmer, and instead I think I'm going to go after that Portugal guy from Porto, and that was João Mario. So we'll go after him instead. I'll try and put an offer in for him, but just an update there. We'll avoid Cole Palmer because of the fact he's played for both Man City and Portsmouth already this season. And the backup right winger situation gets even more interesting. Just ask the agent what Porto want for João Mario, and they want the release fee during mid-season. They do not want to do negotiations for a cheaper price. So we've tried to put an offer in for 11 million up front, another 12.5 million in installments over the next 3 years. But because of that, we might have to go elsewhere for our right winger backup again. And Barcelona have accepted our offer for Serginho Dest, 17.5 million up front, 10 million over the next 2 years on the January deadline day. So we'll start negotiations. His wage is a little bit higher than I thought it might be, but we'll get the job done here. We'll get rid of this important player one, just see if he's willing to be a regular starter from next season, and he is, so that is a good start for us. And now we'll get to the wage, a little bit higher than what I'd like. We'll try and talk this down to 60, get this up to about 4 million, bump up the agent fee as much as we can. We'll get rid of the unused substitute fee and the yearly wage rise. Also try and talk these down a little bit as well and see what he has to say after that. Starting to come into things now. We'll just see what these are all about. He still wants quite a high wage. We'll try and get this down to 70k maybe and see what happens. We'll bump the agent one up again because that's going to help. And just looking at these other ones, we'll try and get the wage after so many league games down because it won't take too long for that to happen. We'll just try and bump it down just a bit here and see if he's happy to agree. And he is at 70k a week, which is quite expensive, but we do have the money to pull it off, and we should have Serginho Dest becoming a Tottenham Hotspur player by the end of deadline day. But it looks like we have some competition for Serginho Dest. Dortmund offering a loan front up potential fee of 27 million. So this is going to be interesting. Let's hope that Serginho Dest chooses us over Dortmund. So in amongst my excitement to try and get a right winger, and João Mario's offer was turned down, but it just came up during a staff meeting on deadline day, of all the times for a staff meeting, that this guy is in our under 23s and actually looks as good as the likes of Cole Palmer who we were looking at anyway. So I think what we're going to do is just use Jack Clark when we need to as a backup right winger. So I think that issue's averted now. All we're looking to do on deadline day is get in a backup left back just to strengthen our depth in that position. Okay, so just having a quick look at the agent offers here. I know that we said Jack Clark could fix our right wing issue, but Fabio Carvalho, I have heard, is a very good player in this year's Football Manager, and he is testing the waters ahead of a potential move. Also see Curtis Jones doing that. He would be a really good get, but we don't quite have the money to get Curtis in from Liverpool at the moment. But Fabio Carvalho, we should have the money to do that. We'll have about 13 million left after this deal gets done, and we might be able to pull off the wage there as well. It's not a very big wage, so I think we're going to try and make a little bit of an offer here for Fabio Carvalho. We might do something similar to what we did before, give them about 7.5 million up front and then do a few installments just to bump up that transfer value over the next few windows. We'll try that. 9.25 million. They want to sign a replacement player first, though. I don't think they're going to actually be capable of doing that, Fulham, unfortunately. So we'll try and just talk them up ever so slightly here to 8 million plus 5 million and see if that works. They want 26.5. Not going to happen. It would have been nice, but Fabio Carvalho unfortunately doesn't look like we're going to be able to get him, so still looks like Jack Clark is the most obvious option for that third choice right winger. And unfortunately, Serginho Dest chose Dortmund over us because they have Champions League football. We don't, and he has no interest in joining a club not involved in such a competition. So with that in mind, I think you have to go back to the well and try and find another backup left back for us here, because unfortunately Dest has joined them on loan and it's a 19.25 million future fee. I thought it was about 37, so Dortmund doing some really good business there, but we're going to have to try and find another backup left back now. So back in the hunt for another backup left back, we've got two options available to us now. One of them was Riccardo Calafiori. This was a guy I potentially might have favoured here, Serginho Dest anyway, with him being 19 years old, Italian, but Roma's price that they want for him did go up with this being a mid-season transfer. So if we try and get him, it might be the start of next season instead of now. So I think Calafiore is off the table as well. The only one I can see who could potentially provide us immediate impact is Federico DiMarco. Not too sure if I want to get this guy on a long-term contract. He does look really good though, so this is interesting. We have the spot in our squad to get him into the mix, so 8 to 11.5 million. I might just see if they are actually willing to part with him for that price at the moment. So we'll ask the agent, and they would want a little bit more at the moment. So I think this deadline day is going off the rails a little bit, truth be told, because I don't know if we want to give him that much money for a player of that quality, although he's pretty much as good as Calafiore is going to become anyway, and he is quite good in some other areas as well. As corners are superb. Just debating about this, I think we might just leave the left back situation for now. Hopefully we can get by. I suppose we can always switch Sessegnon between there for the rest of the season. This is an area that we can tidy up at the start of next season, but at the moment I think that 30 million that we've got spare might not be getting used on deadline day. And what I was hoping would end up being quite a busy little transfer deadline day for us, at least bringing in one player, has ended up being absolutely nothing at all. If we ever look at deadline day, you can see some of the deals that took place, or at least in this window. This is what we did. We bought in Colonna and Caligari, out went Mora, Tanganga. We also sold a bunch of youngsters. Jamie Donnelly, that one was a little bit frustrating. He was on a youth contract. Liverpool came in to try and get him, and they've paid us $825,000 in compensation. It was a player I would have liked to keep hold of. We also sold a few other youth players over deadline day. We did make some sales, but nothing overly notable. So we spent 21 million, 78 million coming in the bank, and that means we should have a big transfer budget to launch some bids come the start of our last season, season 2 here, of taking over Tottenham. As you see, the expenditure of the overall Premier League clubs, we're down in 6th, so about where you expect us to be based on that. In the transfer window roundup for the Premier League, biggest spenders, Newcastle. The biggest deal was that one for Mora going to Newcastle, and the biggest one on deadline day, a decent centre-back, Nikola Milenkovic, going from Fiorentina to Manchester United. So unfortunately, deadline day not quite as exciting as I was hoping it would be. Clubs definitely not as willing to part with their players in a mid-season transfer window compared to the start of the season, bumping up the prices quite considerably if you try and go after their players by the looks of it. So that will do for this big wrap up of January. We had the game against Southampton and the transfer wrap up. If you did enjoy it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video. And if you haven't done so already and enjoy what you see here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. In terms of when we'll be back, we mentioned it earlier. It's an obvious game to come back for. I know the board do not care about it, but I do. EFL Cup, Carabao Cup final, a North London derby at Wembley against Arsenal. We might even have a slight little bit of home ground advantage in that game after Tottenham played there while their new stadium was getting built. But hopefully tomorrow we can win our first trophy of this save, even though, as I said, the board don't really care about that competition. If we win it, I think they will care. So hopefully we can. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.